Right now, Salt Lake police are trying to track down a stabbing suspect still on the run. What investigators want you to know. Plus,
it's been also, I think, uplifting to watch them connect with other people who have similar circumstances.
A tweet from a University of Utah doctor about her experiences with COVID-19 is going viral. Why she's trying to raise awareness as we near 2 years of the pandemic.
Utah rivers are setting record low volumes. We're going to show you where and what it means for the water here.
And after a dangerous morning drive, are we done with the snow? What you can expect for tonight and tomorrow morning.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News Live at 5 starts now.
Developing now, police in Salt Lake City are searching for a man in connection with the stabbing. Detectives say 46-year-old Daniel Etherington attacked someone at an apartment complex near 1450 South West Temple at about 3:45 this morning. Police say the 29-year-old victim is recovering from critical injuries. Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenser will have more on this investigation and Etherington's criminal history coming up on Fox 13 News Live at 5:30.
Our other top story this evening, a University of Utah doctor has gone viral for a very vulnerable tweet sharing her concerns about coronavirus and her pre-existing health condition. Bob.
Kelly, she is now working to fight the stereotype of what being high risk looks like. Fox 13 News reporter Spencer Joseph shares her story.
When we talk about the face of chronic illness, that's what we're talking about. It's not one face.
The pandemic has affected a lot of people behind closed doors. Who gets sick or who has underlying conditions is hard to tell on the surface. And it's something that Dr. Sarah Bernstein, a neonatologist at the University of Utah, sees when caring for patients.
I wish I could share those stories and those faces with people so that people could understand, like I do, who's really suffering through this pandemic. Because I'm unable to share direct stories, I kind of chose to share my own.
Last week, she sent out this vulnerable tweet saying that she herself has an underlying condition that puts her at increased risk for serious complications from COVID, adding the hashtag, I have a pre-existing condition, and asking, does the face of chronic illness look different than you thought? The tweet and hashtag went viral with over 60,000 likes on Twitter and influenced others to post their stories.
And it's been really incredible and humbling that people are willing to share their stories and their vulnerabilities with me.
At 15, Dr. Bernstein was diagnosed with a heart condition called supraventricular tachycardia, as well as posterior arthrostatic tachycardia syndrome, also known as POTS. But you would never know it by looking at her.
And the reality of it is it looks like everything, right? If you are to tell people that I have a chronic illness, people say things like, well, you don't look sick to me.
And that's the stereotype she's hoping to fight.
I think just recognizing that chronic illness doesn't look like one face. It looks like all of our faces. It looks like everybody that you interact with.
So the hope is those can see her story and realize you may not know the risk someone else is facing.
Perhaps their colleague has an underlying condition that they're not aware of. Maybe it's a cousin or a family member or a close friend.
And despite that condition, we're told that Dr. Bernstein hasn't skipped a beat through the COVID-19 pandemic, still caring for all of those babies and mothers in need behind me at the University of Utah. Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.
We're seeing an increase of 3,609 new cases of COVID-19 in Utah today. 464 of those are in school-aged children. The deaths of 13 more Utahns are being attributed to the virus. There are currently 781 people getting treatment for COVID-19 in Utah hospitals.
The Utah Department of Health reports they administered 4,630 doses of the COVID vaccine since yesterday. 60% of all Utahns are now fully vaccinated.
Yeah, it's already cracking.
A This is new body camera video from the Utah Highway Patrol that you will only see on Fox 13 News. It shows a new perspective of an icy rescue along I-80 near Dugway on the morning of January 2nd. Troopers say the woman was stuck in 2 feet of water after a rollover crash. She was taken to the hospital in serious condition due to the exposure to the cold.
Utah's weather authority, Allison Krogan, told us last night the lake effect snow was going to make for a messy morning commute. And sure enough, Mother Nature delivered. Today, Utah Highway Patrol troopers responded to about 140 slide-offs, fender benders, and other accidents. Despite dozens of UDOT plows salting the roads and plowing, a blast of Arctic air limited their effectiveness.
Yeah, it really doesn't take much once you get that little dusting of snow to create some really icy conditions, icy areas out there.
Well, definitely with how cold the temps have been the last few days, as soon as that snow came down, we talked about this last night, even small amounts of snow would amount to lots of crashes. We mainly saw 1 to 3 inches of snow, so right on track with that forecast that we talked about last night. But Magna overperformed at 5 inches of snow, and it's a beautiful afternoon. A live look from our Ochre cam right now. This is facing into the Salt Lake Valley. Temperatures are nice and chilly though, so definitely bundle up when you head out. I-215 on the east side of the Salt Lake Valley, right near the Old Mill Golf Course, showing you dry roads, but still some snow on the course that arrived last night. We do have very breezy conditions across southern Utah and still a few chances for areas of flurries possible this evening, so still some light snow potentially tonight, mainly in the mountains. Our wind is right now about 25 miles per hour for Provo and Price, close to 40 miles per hour for Cedar and St. George. Cold temperatures here across the state. A lot of us feels like it's about 10 to 15 degrees right now. So coming up, we'll let you know what you can expect for tomorrow morning's drive and what our air quality is looking like the next few days.
Allison, thank you. Today, Utah's snowpack crossed a threshold we hope to avoid, while at the same time, crucial waterways are also setting record lows.
Going in depth this evening, Fox 13 News reporter Max Roth joins us with a look at 2 indicators of where Utah stands when it comes to water. Hi, Max.
Yeah, hi, Kelly. You know, we're going to start with looking at rivers. In a vast arid region extending from the Four Corners to Nevada, communities cluster around a few relatively small rivers and one big one. In one morning, they all hit their all-time lows for this calendar day.
The Colorado River may be the mightiest in the American Southwest, but the nonprofit Resource Watch named it one of the world's 5 most water-stressed rivers. That was in 2018, 3 bad water years ago. February 2nd, on average, would flow with close to 3,000 cubic feet per second at the Utah-Colorado state line. The new record low level set this year, 1,720. From early January, the drop has been precipitous. 2 important tributaries set similarly dubious records downstream from that point. The San Juan snakes its gentle way through New Mexico and Colorado, quenching communities in northern New Mexico and southern Utah before merging with the Colorado River and Lake Powell. Its low volume has been consistent through January, consistently low enough to be at an all-time low for this day of the year. Southwestern Utah's booming population relies entirely on the Virgin River. Aside from flash floods, it is a small stream in average water years. Early 2022 has been erratic with precipitation through mid-January. Since then, it's settled to a record low baseline. And those low stream levels indicate the impacts of a dry January on Utah's most important water repository, the mountain snow. Utah's snowpack this water year, once robust, has now crossed the median line and is lower than normal for this time of year.
All right, well, all of that is just a snapshot of this moment. So it's possible we have a wet late winter and that rejuvenates the snowpack. We really need it. Live in studio, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Thanks, Max. Coming up, guaranteeing you a chance to speak in public meetings. We'll have an update on some of the latest bills being discussed on Utah's Capitol Hill.
And we've told you about plans to create islands on Utah Lake. Now we're getting a glimpse of what those plans look like. We'll show you.
A big bill unveiled on Utah's Capitol Hill would ensure minors in the juvenile court system are advised of their rights in court proceedings. It also allows bail in some circumstances. The bill by Santa Clara Representative Lowry Snow was filed today.
A bill to require public comment in public meetings got a unanimous vote of approval from a Utah House committee. Pleasant Grove Representative Brady Brammer's bill requires public meetings to have a period of public comment. Most meetings do that now. The bill now goes to the full House for a vote.
A Senate committee unanimously approved a bill to create a certification for community health workers. State Senate Minority Whip Luz Escamilla's bill is designed to help expand health care access, particularly to underserved communities. It now goes to the full Senate for a vote.
A new bill on Capitol Hill exempts new car sharing services from rental taxes. Sandy Representative Robert Spendlove's bill is aimed at some new platforms and apps popping up. It would allow them to operate without paying short-term rental taxes.
A bill to allow Wine of the Month Club and other specialty alcohol orders has cleared a Utah Senate committee. Salt Lake City Senator Gene Davis's bill still requires you to order through the DABC and pay a mandatory cost plus 88% markup. The bill now goes on to the full Senate.
Still ahead, President Biden is making a big move in the fight to eliminate cancer. We'll have his big announcement from the White House today.
2 officers killed Tuesday, a funeral for another officer Wednesday. The rise in violent crime now spurring action by the White House and lawmakers. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington with the latest coming up.
In world news today, the Biden administration now taking back previous comments about Russia's aggression toward Ukraine and that Russian invasion is no longer imminent. The change comes just as the president authorized additional U.S. troop deployments to Europe, all in an effort to shore up NATO defenses and provide additional support amid continued aggression from Moscow.
Russia aims to shatter the long-established order in Europe and Euro-Atlantic area, undermine its core principles, and destroy the post-Cold War security architecture.
The Pentagon says the U.S. is planning for all contingencies, with more troop deployments still a possibility.
In national news, there has been an alarming rise in crime and an increase in violence against police officers. It's surprising and spurring members of Congress and the White House to take a look at whether more money is needed for police departments nationwide. Fox's Lauren Blanchard has the latest from Washington.
It is New Yorkers against the killers, and we will not lose. We will protect our city.
Wednesday, the funeral for a New York City cop killed on duty.
I don't want to see another funeral. I don't want to hear another widow.
Nationwide, at least 30 police officers were shot in January, according to the National Fraternal Order of Police.
And it's not just in New York, it's in cities across this country.
It's a 67% increase over January last year. February 1st, 2 campus police officers were killed at Bridgewater College in Virginia.
We need to have some real sound solutions on a path forward.
The White House acknowledges the rise in violent crime and points toward an increase in gun violence. But Americans are not satisfied with the administration's handling. An ABC News Ipsos poll found 2/3 disapprove of the president's job on gun violence, and nearly the same disapprove of his handling of crime. In Congress last month, a bipartisan pair of lawmakers introduced a bill to make significant and targeted investments in local police departments. The Invest to Protect Act would help to train officers in de-escalation, provide more body cameras, help recruit and retain officers, and provide mental health resources.
You can't defund, you need to invest to strengthen departments.
Thursday, President Biden will be in New York City to meet with the new mayor and talk about the rise in crime there and nationwide. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox 13 News, Utah.
President Joe Biden says he is bringing, quote, a fierce sense of urgency to the battle against cancer. Today, he announced the relaunch of the White House's Cancer Moonshot Initiative.
The goal is to cut the cancer death rate in half in the next 25 years, at least by 50%. And to turn more cancers from death sentences into chronic diseases that people can live with. to create a more supportive experience for patients and their families. And by doing these things and more, to end cancer as we know it.
Dr. Danielle Carnival of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy was named as the initiative's coordinator. President Biden has also created a cancer cabinet that includes officials from several other departments, including Health and Human Services and the National Institutes of Health. President Biden's son, Beau Biden, died of brain cancer in 2015.
The late former U.S. Senator and Republican presidential candidate Bob Dole was laid to rest in Arlington National Cemetery today. He passed away 2 months ago. For 27 years, Dole served as a U.S. Senator from Kansas, including 2 periods as Senate Majority Leader. He was also a World War II hero, suffering a shattered shoulder in an attack while on a rescue mission, leaving his right arm and hand permanently disabled. Bob Dole was 98 years old.
After 9 years on the job, the head of CNN is stepping down. Jeff Zucker resigned as the president of the news network today after admitting to a consensual relationship with a colleague. In a memo to employees, Zucker says he was required to disclose the relationship when it began. However, he did not. The relationship came up during the network's investigation into former anchor Chris Cuomo.
With my shadow I have cast, then a long, lustrous 6 more weeks of winter.
Yeah, you just heard it. Punxsutawney Phil emerged from his burrow this morning predicting another 6 weeks of winter. This tradition in Pennsylvania has been going on since 1887. It draws thousands of people every year from all over the world. By the way, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration does not give Phil a passing grade for accuracy, saying over the past 10 years, that groundhog has only been right 40% of the time.
Well, hold on. I thought winter ends and spring starts on a specific day every year, so that I think the groundhog's onto something.
Yeah.
About 6 weeks away.
Yeah, how about, let's say, around March 20th? How does that sound?
Okay.
Yeah. Now, that does signify that we are halfway now from winter to spring. So we're getting closer. It's a fun celebration of just weather in general, even though it's not scientific, but it's still fun to get out and do. Now, this was a beautiful picture that one of you posted in our Facebook group. Randy Kroll posted this morning across the Salt Lake Valley in our Facebook group. Utah's Weather Authority would love to have you join us on there. We're doing daily weather discussions. We're getting great snow reports and weather reports from many of you. Temperatures right now, it's about 25 degrees out there for Provo, Salt Lake, Ogden, Brigham City, and Tooele. So it's a cold night. It's in the teens right now for Logan, 11 for Evanston, 23 for Heber, 24 for Vernal, 25 for Price, 19 for Manti, 18 for Panguitch, and St. George currently 40 degrees and quite breezy right now. Provo about 25 miles per hour. Same thing for Price, Bryce, and Panguitch about 20 to 25 miles per hour. SR 143 is still closed due to blowing conditions in Panguitch over towards Parowan, so keep that in mind. We do have some tough driving conditions there. For Cedar City and St. George, close to 35 to 40 miles per hour right now. Salt Lake City 25, feeling like 17. Beautiful view on our Salt Lake Tribune camera. This is facing towards downtown right now, facing east-southeast. Our temperatures over the next few hours will be in the 20s through about 9 o'clock tonight. Then we'll drop into the teens. A lot of our snow has melted. If you saw some lake effect this morning, a lot of that has since melted. And tonight we're going to have a very cold evening ahead. I went ahead and put on there some lingering snow is possible, mainly in the mountains tonight, but few flurries. I don't want you to be too surprised or alarmed if you see those. We just still have a little bit of instability in the air and very cold conditions out of the north. Let's go ahead and zoom in right now towards northern Utah. So few flurries possible, mainly up towards the Cottonwood Canyons for the Wasatch Mountains. Here's what it looks like in Price this afternoon. Beautiful, mostly clear sky. And for Sundance, Stunning view, that backside of Timpanogos right there. But overall, we'll have very gusty conditions in southern Utah on and off over the next few days. So through 9 o'clock tonight, still windy, especially for Washington County. We'll continue with some wind ramping up again tomorrow at lunchtime for Washington County, all the way up towards about I-70. We could see some wind about 35 miles per hour at times. And then by Friday morning, looks a lot calmer across southern Utah. So we're really happy about that. Temperature 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. A chilly start. Grab the warmer jacket tomorrow morning when you're heading out the door. It'll be about 10 to 15 for Provo, Salt Lake, and Ogden. 5 for Logan tomorrow morning. St. George about 20. By tomorrow at 3 o'clock, we're close to 25 to 30 degrees here along the Wasatch Front. So another cold day. We'll have some travel impacts if you've got a flight that's got either a layover or a final destination all the way from Texas up towards the northeast. We'll continue with areas of snowfall and ice. Now along the Wasatch Front will be quite a bit cooler than St. George. St. George, you're close to 50 to 60 this weekend. So you've got some nice weather ahead, but windy conditions through early Friday. Wasatch Front, close to 30 to 35 Thursday, Friday, and then near 40 this weekend, mid-40s by next Monday.
Thanks, Allison. Okay, if you want really, really fast internet, you can get it, but you'll have to pay a lot for it. We have all the details ahead.
And if you like wishbone salad dressing, but you have certain allergies, you need to see this next story.
In today's Fox 13 Money Watch, the U.S. national debt has hit $30 trillion for the first time in history, Bob.
A quarter of that debt, Kelly, was added in the last 3 years, in part because of pandemic-related government spending. Some economists believe this is an issue that will eventually come back to haunt the country. But many others believe some amount of debt is normal and that American debt is in line with its overall spending.
You may be interested in this, maybe. SpaceX has opened pre-orders for its new high-performance internet service. It's called Starlink Premium. Sounds cool, but man, is it going to cost you? Starlink Premium starts at $500 a month.
Is
wow,
that all?
That's going to be tough to fit into the budget. $500 a month.
Holy.
Plus, that's not all. You'll have to shell out $2,500 for the antenna.
Oh, man.
It advertises speeds up to 500 megabits per second. That is about twice as fast as Starlink's regular service. The average household is not the target for the premium service. It's geared towards small businesses. SpaceX says deliveries are set to start later this year.
Some wishbone salad dressings are being recalled. Federal health officials say the brands Chunky Blue Cheese and Thousand Island, Kelly, may have egg in them. The notice says consumers with a sensitivity or allergy to eggs may risk a serious or life-threatening allergic reaction. Consumers are urged to throw the dressings out. The recall does not include any other wishbone products.
I take eggs on my Cobb salad with the Thousand Island
Well,
dressing,
there
so
you
we're
go.
all good. U.S. stocks, they rose today. Take a look. Extending their winning streak as a strong earnings report from Google parent company Alphabet outweighed weak economic reports. The Dow rose 224 points to close at 35,629. The Nasdaq added 72. The S&P gained 43.
Coming up in our next half hour, creating a way to preserve Utah Lake's ecosystem. We're getting our first look at what the developers of islands on the lake have in mind.
And it is a push to improve the air we all breathe. What some state lawmakers are working on to better our air quality for generations to come.
And the hunt is on this afternoon for a man who stabbed a woman's boyfriend at a Salt Lake City apartment complex. What police are telling us as they track down this violent criminal. Welcome back. Developing now, Salt Lake police are looking for a man accused of attacking a woman and stabbing her boyfriend early today when he tried to intervene.
Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenser joins us live from Salt Lake City. Emily, what have you learned about the suspect?
Kelly, Bob, this is a man that officers do not want on the loose right now. They say he stabbed a 29-year-old man here at Parkview Apartments multiple times this morning. Now, this suspect, he's 46-year-old Daniel Etherington, has an extensive criminal history across Salt Lake over the last 2 decades. Previously, he's faced multiple felonies, including aggravated cruelty to an animal and multiple cases of assault. Police say he's been arrested many times, specifically over the last few months, including an instance back in October where he stabbed a dog to death in a motel room. He's also wanted in connection to a separate aggravated assault investigation and has unrelated outstanding warrants.
We have a prior history with him, prior assault cases, and in this case specifically, he stabbed a man multiple times. So definitely someone to be wary of, but 100% we need to find him and we need to get him off the streets so that we can keep everyone else safe.
Officers say if you spot him, do not approach. He is considered armed and dangerous. Call 911 instead. Now, as for the man police say Etherington stabbed here at these apartments this morning, they say he is in critical condition but is stable right now. Reporting live, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Emily, thank you. The plan to build islands as part of the Utah Lake Restoration Project is moving forward. The Army Corps of Engineers publicly released the permit application and now starts a lengthy review process.
Fox 13 News reporter Eliana Sheriff found out why the president of Lake Restoration Solutions says some people are misunderstanding their purpose.
This is a beautiful beach. They've actually done a lot of work here to remove the invasive Phragmites.
John Benson, the president of Lake Restoration Solutions, has been working on this project for the past 4 years.
It's my dream job to be part of restoring Utah Lake. This is something we could leave behind for our kids and our grandkids to enjoy.
He says the project aims to fully restore the lake's ecosystem.
The crux of the plan is to dredge the lake bed, which is contaminated with nutrient-loaded sediments that have been there over the course of many decades from neglect and abuse that the lake has suffered.
And that dredged material will be placed in newly formed containment areas or islands within the lake, and there will be about 36 of them.
And take a look at this map. It's filled with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Lake Restoration Solutions permit, and it shows what they envision it will look like. There could be development, and the map shows some roads.
But then we can use those islands for wildlife refuge, for recreation, which is a great public amenity, and for community islands to pay for the project.
But those community islands don't float everyone's boat. Conserve Utah Valley says it has concerns about the proposal, telling Fox 13 this last month.
I don't think I'd put houses in the middle lake any more than I put houses on the top of Timp. They're landmarks. They're beautiful the way they are.
The group argues dredging the lake and building these islands will alter the chemistry of the lake. It's one of several examples of why they oppose the project.
I think that some people have misunderstood the purpose of the project. They think that this is about building islands and building communities on the lake. And yes, islands are a key part of our conservation solution. Those communities are the way that we pay for the project, but that's not our primary purpose. That's not what we're here to do.
And it could take some time for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to give the thumbs up or thumbs down to the project.
So I wouldn't say that stands in the way. I'd say that enables the project if it's a good project, which we believe it is, of course, but we need to prove that to the regulators, to the public through this process. And so that's our hurdle. That's what we need to go through, and that's a good thing.
In Vineyard, Eliana Sheriff, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Next Monday, there will be a rally by Conserve Utah Valley on the Capitol steps. It starts at 5 p.m. Organizers say this will be to support Utah Lake during the legislative session.
Happening now, a state House committee is hearing testimony about a bill that would overturn a controversial Utah Supreme Court ruling on childhood sexual abuse.
Fox 13 News reporter Ben Winslow explains from Utah's Capitol Hill.
The Utah State Legislature is acting as a check on the state Supreme Court for a ruling that hasn't exactly been popular. Years ago, Representative Ken Ivory ran a bill that eliminated the statute of limitations for civil lawsuits over sexual abuse. Now, when a woman who says she was sexually abused attempted to sue, the case wound up before the Utah Supreme Court. The state's top court said the law that the legislature passed could not be applied retroactively. The ruling angered many sex abuse survivors who say they deserve to seek justice in the courts. So Representative Ivory is back with a proposed constitutional amendment that would overturn the Utah Supreme Court ruling.
It's simply an effort to recognize the harm and the damage that's been caused in communities, and then between holding a perpetrator liable or allowing the sufferer to bear the costs or the society to bear the costs, we think the right course is to make the perpetrator bear those costs to the greatest extent possible.
Now, this is a proposed constitutional amendment, so that means if it passes the legislature here, it goes before you, the voter, next year. On the Hill, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Lawmakers are advancing a series of bills aimed at combating climate change and improving air quality in the state. The bipartisan Clean Air Caucus is made up of Republicans and Democrats. Today, they outlined a series of bills to help Utahns with air quality. Some bills offer incentives to get you to buy fuel-efficient cars. One bill would charge electric and hybrid vehicles for using the roads.
We have a gas tax that pays is one way to pay for road usage. That's worked well for us, but it hasn't worked as good as vehicles have gotten more fuel efficient, and it's not going to work at all with electric vehicles. So can we get electric vehicles so that they pay their fair share towards road maintenance, while also not just putting our thumb down on them right up front and say, well, here, just pay more, because we want to acknowledge that they bring good benefits to our air quality.
A major bill set to be introduced would have Utah cut its emissions dramatically by the year 2030. Another would have public transit be completely free.
It hasn't been made public yet, but Sandy Senator Kirk Cullimore confirms he is running a school voucher bill, and Utah's largest teachers union is vowing to fight it. The senator says his bill offers scholarships for people to take their children to private schools. The Salt Lake Tribune reports it could cost as much as $36 million. The idea of school vouchers was unpopular back in 2007, but you may remember. However, Senator Cullimore says he believes public opinion has shifted since then.
I think the climate has changed some on some of these education options over the past couple of years. We've seen parents who have not typically looked outside of the public education options that have found other avenues and explored other options.
Utah's largest teachers union tells Fox 13 News, quote, schemes like this have been tried in other states with no measurable increase in student achievement. Utahns resoundingly defeated school vouchers at the polls in 2007. Senator Cullimore says he is working with the UEA to find common ground. The bill is due out any day now.
Utah Governor Spencer Cox has signed the bill that halts Test to Stay in Utah schools.
Test to Stay kept students in class when COVID-19 cases hit a certain threshold. The state paused it when testing capabilities were being overwhelmed by the Omicron variant. But it also has legislative leaders deciding when schools can pivot to remote learning. In a statement, the governor says they're adapting to COVID-19 and need to be flexible.
Local engineering companies shared their experience providing equipment for the Department of Defense and why they appreciate Hill Air Force Base.
And we had a messy drive this morning. Coming up, what you can expect for your Thursday morning commute. Do we have any more snow in the forecast? We're back in 60 seconds.
It is Aerospace and Defense Day on Utah's Capitol Hill. Engineering companies got to share how Utah has only scratched the surface in expanding this area of expertise. These companies specialize in many things, such as providing equipment for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. They told Fox 13 News places like Hill Air Force Base are being utilized to create more opportunities for those who want to get into this side of engineering.
It is a great time to be an engineer. It's a great time to be an engineer in Utah. We are hiring across the country. Specifically here in Utah, though, we are hiring pretty much for every skill set you might imagine.
Some of these companies have decades of experience in providing equipment for the Department of Defense.
A new shipping facility opened in Clearfield today under budget and ahead of schedule. Both good things when you're building something so big like this. Lifetime Products is a sporting goods manufacturing company. It held a ribbon cutting today at the Freeport Center, where the new facility will act as a central shipping hub. The company does the bulk of its manufacturing right here in Utah, so they hope this new facility will streamline their distribution process.
With a facility this size, we can keep our factory running at a more consistent level, which of course helps our people, allows us to have more consistent work schedules, really provides a more stable work environment as well.
Governor Cox was there, and attendees were given a tour of the facility. Lifetime Products employs about 2,000 Utahns, with a percentage of them expected to work in this new shipping hub.
Still ahead, giving a helping hand in their time of need. See how a Davis County pizzeria is helping one of its rivals rebuild after a devastating fire.
Jazz will play their first game tonight since losing Joe Ingles to a season-ending injury. So who's going to step up and fill his shoes as they try to end a 5-game losing streak? We'll hear from Trent Forrest coming up in sports.
Isn't this gorgeous? So glad you could join us for Fox 13 News Live at 5. This is a live look from one of Utah State University's cameras overlooking the Cache Valley.
Oh, that does look pretty.
Yeah, where you spent 2 years up there.
I love the Cache Valley. It is a fun place. I tell you, it gets cold, though.
Oh, yeah.
That's for sure. Cold all over the state, at least in the northern part. We even woke up to some snow. So will we see more snow for the evening drive, or perhaps even tomorrow morning once again? Utah's Weather Authority Allison Krogan will have your full forecast in just a few minutes.
It has been nearly a month since Circle Inn Pizzeria, a staple in Sunset for more than 60 years, burned down.
Fox 13 News reporter Chris Arnold shows us how one of their competitors is now stepping up to help in a story that is positively Utah.
At Taboo Pizza in Ogden, the open sign is on, and the pizza is hot and fresh out of the oven. But it's the box this pizza is going in that might catch your attention.
We're now sending our pizza out in Circle Inn boxes.
This comes nearly a month after Circle Inn, a pizzeria that has been owned by the same family for 3 generations, dating back to the 1950s, burned down. Jeremy Holmes, co-owner of Taboo Pizzas, says they decided to take the thousands of boxes Circle Inn had on the warehouse shelves and use them for their pizzas.
Our flyer links people to the GoFundMe page. People can go if they would like to support. But this is one way that we can help out a community favorite that's been around for a long time.
It's what happened to that community favorite that really hits home for Holmes. He says his business was in a similar situation just 5 months ago.
We had an electrical problem, and if I hadn't been here at the building, we would have lost everything. And with the amount of time, effort, and energy that we've put into this business, to lose everything like that would just be absolutely devastating. So we can feel what they're going through.
And even though they're competitors, Holmes says competition goes out the window when something like this happens.
Yes, we're competitors, but at the same time, we're people. And as people, what we need to do is come together.
As for the pizzas here at Taboo Pizza, Holmes tells me they will continue to be put in Circle Inn boxes with that GoFundMe information until the nearly 5,500 boxes are all gone. In Ogden, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is the best of Utah right there. It truly is.
Yeah.
Truly is. That spirit to pitch in and help even your competitors.
I think that's fantastic. Yeah. Lots of good stories like that. We always like hearing them. We also like to hear good weather forecasts, Allison. And I know the snow was difficult for some people, but man, we sure could use that snow. Although it was mostly lake effect, right? Which is kind of redistributing the moisture over the lake.
Right. So unfortunately, it took the snow that came down and placed it with that lake effect band developed across the Salt Lake Valley. Unfortunately, not great for our resorts where we really need that snow. But check out this picture from this morning. Scott Taylor took this. He always takes fantastic pictures and videos, but I named it Snow Lake City. As you can see, a band of snow approaching downtown. Here's what it looks like in Oak City, some more of central Utah. Clear sky this evening. This picture taken just a few minutes ago at 5:35. And a live look from our Ocracam. Just a few minutes ago, we had a little bit of alpenglow on top of the mountains, but right now that sun is starting to go down, and so we're losing that additional light out west. But our IMC camera camera still showing us some pretty pink sky as we face downtown. And here is the view downtown. Roads will still be a little slick tonight, so keep that in mind. A little slick out there for you, but our temperatures are chilly, 25 degrees right now. Feels like 17, and we'll continue with some very cold temperatures tonight and into tomorrow. So right now, 26 for Provo, 28 for Ogden, 19 for Logan, 11 for Evanston. St. George currently 40 degrees and quite breezy in southwest Utah, about 30 to 40 miles per hour for St. George, Cedar, and Milford. Bryce Canyon also breezy. Same thing for Provo and Price, about 25 miles per hour. Salt Lake today only made it to 26 degrees. That's about 15 degrees below an average high of 41. Sun will rise tomorrow at about 7:35 in the morning. And we look at our satellite and radar. It is pretty clear here across the state. But we continue with some very gusty conditions that will be continuing on and off across southern Utah through early Friday morning. Breezy conditions for you. A few areas of snow showers will be possible tonight, so I don't want you to be too concerned if you see a few flurries out there, especially if you're up in the mountains. And because of how cold it's been, we'll see those temperatures at the road surfaces cold enough to let any snow that falls stick to the ground. So we still could see a few slick spots out there. Our overnight temps will be about 15 degrees by midnight tonight, and same thing tomorrow morning when you wake up. Waking up along the Wasatch Front, mostly cloudy at 6 a.m. By 8 a.m. we'll still have cloudy sky, about 15 degrees, and then by 10 a.m. we'll have mostly cloudy sky, low 20s. But tomorrow at 7 a.m. a lot of us around 10 to 15 degrees for Provo, Salt Lake, and Ogden. So send the kids to school tomorrow morning with a very warm jacket. You too as you head out the door. 22 in St. George at 7 a.m. and by 4 o'clock tomorrow we're about 30 degrees here along the Wasatch Front. So another day below freezing. And as we look at the chance of precipitation for Salt Lake over the next week, we don't have any big storms in the forecast. So we are talking about mainly dry conditions all the way through the 7-day forecast. By next Wednesday, we'll keep our eye on the chance for isolated to widely scattered showers, but really not a whole lot happening here across the region. Lots of snow off to our east, though, so travel impacts still even here at the Salt Lake Airport. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see any flights being delayed or canceled for much of the eastern and southern halves of the country. Now for St. George, you're close to 45 degrees tomorrow with sunshine, 50s this weekend. Overnight temps in the 20s and then 60s as we start the week next week. By next Monday, here along the Wasatch Front, we'll have some clouds in the morning, a little more sunshine in the afternoon with highs around freezing. Overnight temps Thursday night into Friday in the teens. By Friday, 36 degrees, and then we're close to 40 this weekend. So about average temperatures this weekend, and then by next week we are back into the 40s. So temperatures have been at or below freezing now for quite a few days, and we will continue that trend basically Tuesday through the end of the week, and then we'll have those temperatures closer to average this weekend.
The Utah Jazz will try to end their 5-game losing streak tonight when they host the Denver Nuggets in the first of 6 straight games at home for the Jazz, who will be without Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, both out with injuries, and Daniel House Jr. and Quinn Snyder, who are in the NBA's health and safety protocols. This will be also the first game the Jazz play without Joe Ingles, who's out for the rest of the season with a torn ACL in his left knee. He played a big role with the second unit, distributing the basketball, stretching the floor with his three-point shooting. That means younger players like Trent Forrest will have to step up as this team moves on without Joe Ingles.
His personality is going to be missed a lot because, I mean, he was not necessarily the glue to the team, but kind of the guy that everybody could kind of get along with. So, I mean, Joe's been an up spirits, kind of lifting us up, really. He's still been around, so everybody kind of knows what we have to do now. I mean, I'll be ready, and I'm sure probably Jared will get some of that too, so I'm sure both of us will be ready for sure.
It's all hands on deck right now, okay? And it's like I said, we're talking to Quinn, and the game planning, I think it's more about game planning without some of our guys, which is great because you think of different things and guys have different opportunities. So it might be a different combination that we see amongst our guys that could work.
Yeah, we mentioned Quinn Snyder out with COVID, but the players and coaches know it's just a phone call away or Zoom away from Quinn because they know he's still working.
I don't think anything can keep that guy down. You know, I think he's drawing up new plays. You know, he's studying tape. I think he's going to come out better. You know, I think we're going to come out better, and we're going to hit our stride.
I told him it's real. When I was out for my week, you see it different. When you're not here every day, it's amazing. Just after a few days, you see it different, and it was a positive for me. Like, I came back and you miss it, and you're excited for it. And watching the game as kind of a spectator on TV, you actually, I think, see it a little bit different.
They are no longer the Washington football team after going 2 seasons without a nickname. The NFL team near the nation's capital will be known as the Washington Commanders. They showed off their new uniforms today, saying they wanted to incorporate the military because of its connection to Washington, D.C. What do you guys think?
I like it.
The
Good connection.
Commanders.
Yeah. Still
Kind
the
of
same colors for the team.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah, that's great.
Looking forward to next football season already.
There you
Those
go.
Commanders.
The Commanders on the
Thanks, Jeff.
field. We'll be right back.
St. George quite windy tonight. You'll continue with on and off wind gusts through early Friday. 50s this weekend for St. George here along the Wasatch Front. Much colder than that. We're in the 30s through Friday. Close to 40 this weekend, mid-40s by next Monday. Could see a few areas of lingering isolated snow showers, mainly in the mountains tonight, so slick roads are still possible, especially with any remaining snow from this morning.
Yes, good heads up as always, Allison. Thank you.
Thanks for being part of Fox 13 News Live at 5. We'll see you back here at 9 o'clock.